Please travel with us in this experience. We have the simulation of the flying experience and also some other programs and projects. You can see that the visitors, they are very active and attracted by this simulation process. So let's have a look at this. We have a coach here that is in charge of the whole site. We are now with CCTV News. Now there are many audience with us to look at our expo, and there are so many computer screens. What are these children doing now? Now it is a simulation of the flight. We want to train those young children to have the controlling capacity of a simulated airplane. We have to start with young children. It's like how you manipulate a drone. You manipulate this simulator. And this machine is the predecessor of the drones. They have this panel within the controlling panel, and they are very familiar with this controlling system, and they are doing this remote controlling of the aircraft. What is their mission? First, they have to get those airplanes to have a very even and stable flight. For example, he just failed with the first try, and the plane, as you can see, has taken off in an unstable manner. And the next one is with a different type of airplane. That is the jet plane. And it's running very fast. And it takes off on a plane in different environments. First, you have to acquire some skills, otherwise you could fail very easily right from the beginning. This is like a game for the children. And in our real training, absolutely it's much harder than that and more complicated. But here, for the young children, we want to give them the basic knowledge. It's just like the advertisement of our education program and of our training process. Those are young children from the first year of primary school. They're still at a very young age, so those basic knowledge are enough for them to have the first understanding of our career. And here, it's what we used to see in our daily life, the drones. People are so familiar with the drones. You can use the simulator to manipulate those drones. And for beginners, it's very hard to have the success right from the beginning. You have to practice more and more in order to have a better manipulation of the drones. Today, when you are making a film, you can also use the drones to film the whole scene. It's very advantageous with a lower cost and higher degree of security. So here you have the multiple skills adapted to different types of the airplanes. You have the helicopter, you have the drones, you have the jet planes, and the others. So it covers nearly every aspect of the training process. So thank you, Mr. Chen, our coach, for this introduction for that part. And in our expo stadium, could we find more similar trainings? This is the simulation of a real flight. First, we have the module, and then we will put the module into the computer. You have this type of plane, as is shown on the screen. You have the panel of control, all those parameters. Here you can see what is the speed and what are the other parameters of our plane. For the air flights that we are familiar with, there are several lights on it. For example, 3 lights. On the left is red, and from the right is green, in the middle it's white. When you look at the light of the plane, you can tell that towards which direction it is flying. Usually when we find an airplane in the air, high up in the sky, you can tell first of all the color of the light, and you can tell to what direction it is flying. Here you also have a handle here. The handshank is like a real handshank in the pilot's cabin. You can use it to control the direction of the flight. For example, with this jointed arm, you can control the left and right direction of this flight, and also you have the other directions to move the rocking bar so that you can decide whether it will go up or down. You have to recite all those basic knowledge about the utilization of the rocking bar in order to have the correct manipulation of the whole airplane. And I can see that this young boy, he's so familiar and good at using the rocking bar. Because we have started from a very young age, we want to cultivate a ambition among those young children for the Air Force career. It's only by doing that could we expect a stronger next generation of pilots. And also for our adults, the young adults, they are also very much attracted by the simulators. And as you can hear now, there's a real airplane just flying above. And for those primary school students and young children, they come to have an experience in this expo on a voluntary base. And because there are so many of them, they have to queue for at least 1 hour to get inside. And now you have fewer people here because at another place there is an activity, there's a show. After the show, there will be more people coming back. And when this young child finishes his experience, we'd like to give an interview to that. And I also would like to have a try by myself. I don't know how long it will last for one experience. Is it the first time for you to try this? Yes. How do you feel about that? I'm very excited. Okay. He will step down so that you can have a try first. So, Mr. Chen, could you please give us some instructions? When you push it, is to add some more oil. When you pour it, is to reduce the utilization of the oil, of the gasoline. When you push it, and then you pull it back, it's flying up. When you push it, it's flying downwards towards the right. It comes to an even level and you towards the left. I can tell that you have a potential for becoming a pilot of the next generation. You have so much talent for that. Please pay attention to your moves and look at the speed table. It's very high level now. So now in the simulator, it means you're up high in the sky. How could you adjust the direction of the flight? We are all in your airplane. You have the responsibility to take care of all your passengers, including us too. And it's back to the height in the sky. And now you are doing a dive. And now it's back. Good job. I cannot imagine myself doing that. It's making another dive now. It's just 2 minutes of experience and you're already doing very well with that. So we will not give you any extra help. It all depends on you. Try your best with it. So if in a real case you have passengers on this flight, they will all vomit. And now it's making a turn in the sky, and still it's making a very quickened, strong dive towards the land. And now you are pulling it back. You can tell that our new pilot has a sense for the flying. You have the potential as a primary pilot. If you would like, you can continue with the training. For example, now we have the 3 screens, so that's exactly what the pilots have in their real practices on the plane. All those moves, they're too rude. We are starting to feel dizzy. And I think I'm doing worse than that young boy. Yes, I agree, because that boy, he's manipulating in a very steady way. And we may guess that it's not the first time for him to fly the airplane now. He must have already experienced all those trials before. So it's your turn. Let's see your performance. We still have some more things to see, so let's move to the next stage. And she's doing very well too. This is a female pilot. Today we are preparing those young ladies for the next generation of pilots. It's no easy job, because that controlling bar, it's so flexible. You have to be very careful in manipulating that bar, otherwise you will make several turns in the sky. Okay, that is a new zone. It's like the VR experience zone. It's the simulator We call it the VR experience, which can give you the up and down and right to left. When you wear that VR glass, you can have the real sense of the flight, and as you are flying the real plane. You have to have the basic physical quality in order to stand all those trials. And you can see that those children, they're doing very well. While keeping their body still, they can continue to fight and attack. In the VR experience, there will be some attacks from the enemies, and then you should use the bar to attack back. For example, you can launch the missiles against the enemies, and you can keep looking for the places of the enemies. Once discovered, they will be attacked by the missiles. You can tell that this is an immersive experience for them, and they're totally in that story. We also have the security belt to protect them. For example, I have tried one VR experience with the skiing, and I had one coach by myself. Otherwise, I would be too frightened to try that because it feels so real with the VR experience. So it's half educational and half recreational. It's a very good way of entertaining and for training at the same time. The whole body is in move now. Those are all interesting programs. And it's very well targeting all the objects. We are using the arms and weapons to protect ourselves and fight against the enemies. You can see the boys, they are so attracted by this. He's doing very well. Now I'd like to suggest that we go to the next station. We have another experience with 360 degrees. With all those stands and zones of experience, we could offer rare opportunities for the young children to try the flights. And the boys, naturally, they are attracted by the sky and by the flights, by the planes. In recent years, we have organized multiple training programs, and our candidates, they are very much attracted by our program, the boys and the girls too. I'm also attracted by that. However, I don't think I will be qualified for becoming a pilot. My childhood dream was to become a pilot. However, I didn't make it. And I'd like to ask my colleague to have a try. That is the space cabin in simulation with 360 degrees of simulation. Please give her some instructions, Mr. Chen. We'll find a coach here to help my colleague. I think the settings are familiar with the previous trial. First, please tighten the belt. You have to tighten the seat belt. Otherwise, it would be a little bit risky for you. Is it okay? Is it clear for you? That is the main tool for me to manipulate the flight direction and also the movement of the aircraft. And later this cabin would turn around. So luckily I didn't have this before with the previous trial. Otherwise I would be dizzy now with all the turnings. And this is a controllable degree for us, and it's not changing very fast. And now it starts to have a 90-degree turn to the left-hand side. Easy. We could look at the facial expression of our pilot here. Help! I think those people who love the roller coasters in the entertainment park would prefer this program. By the beginning of this month, we have broken a record. We have made a big step forward in the competition of the younger generation for aviation. And that's why today we would like to recruit more and more young children to our sector. It's only in that way could we help to boost the development of the aviation. We have a program called F2B. And our national team has helped to win a lot of honors for our country. We have a dream team. We are very strong in that competition of F2B, just like we are very strong in the ping pong games. We want to cheer up for them, and we want to contribute our part to the development. Still, you look very normal now. Actually, I have experienced so much in such a short time. It's very flexible, that rocking bar. Just by accident, I turned it too much, and then it turned to 90 degrees to the left-hand side. Are you a fan for the entertainment park? Yes. Especially I'm a fan for the roller coaster, but it's the first time for I to have this rocking bar in my arm and also have an experience with that turning cabin for the pilots. So later we will have a look at the other activities. In my childhood, I grew up in the residence of the army. I've seen one turning circle and people are inserted in that, and you keep turning that circle in order to train the capabilities of the person to become pilot. But that is in the 2D manner, and here we have the 3D manner of that, so an upgraded version. I'm afraid of that. I don't have the courage for that. It's so difficult for me. So maybe we can just have a look at the others. You have to tie your hair, and later you have to you have to be very careful about the security issues. You have to squeeze all the handles so that you can be better protected and you will not fall down. Here you have a capacity for 4 persons, some belts for the feet, because in that case, during the experience, usually you cannot control the moves of your feet. They are ready to take off. I'd like to have a try myself. So I will stay here. So as usual, you have to tighten the seatbelt. You have 4 protection measures. It's like you are on board now. You have to tighten the seatbelt. Later, you can also have a try by yourself. It's not so terrifying. Now we start to turn in 360 degrees. Why are you not screaming? Are you not afraid? If you want to scream, go ahead. We have 3 ladies and 1 little boy. They are all very brave because they don't scream that much. There are more ladies to try this than the gentlemen. Every time it's like that. We think we have really brave young ladies here, very courageous. I'm hesitating about a try by myself. Please don't hesitate, go ahead, because it can help you to better understand this job. And this must be a basic experience, basic trial for a professional pilot. That is just a starter for them. If you fail this one, it means you cannot continue with the following more difficult exercises. When we select the candidates for the future pilots, we have a very strict process of physical examination and training. For example, in the past, I volunteered for the pilot too. However, I failed with one test of the eyes. I passed all the other physical tests, but I failed finally with the eye test. They are so calm now. And some are even recommending a higher degree of turning with a faster speed of turning. So the difficulty degree and the complexity degree is up now. This is a simulator of the space cabin. What do you feel now? I feel a little bit dizzy now. It's like the roller coaster. Try this straight line. Could you please make it? Go straight. Sorry, in a normal status, you're qualified for the primary pilot. If I were 10 years younger now. So for the professional pilots, should they go through all those exercises too? We have the routine tests. They have to accomplish all the tests and the physical trainings every day. We have programmed all that. For the Air Force, we have the Aviation University. And today, for the performance of the aviation, in most cases, we will ask the coaches from the aviation universities. We also have the models of the airplanes. One category is the model of aviation of aircrafts. For the model of aviation, they can fly. However, for the model of the airplanes, they cannot fly. It's only for the visits, for expos. That is a smart tip for you. So for the aviation models that can fly, today in China we have 4 types of them. For example, for the speed test, and for the lane control, and for the rockets, and also the others. And for each category, for the speed test, we have the F1, and under F1 we have the F1A, F1B, and C and D. In each subspecialty, they have different directions of the competition. And also the wire control, and also the drones. You can very often find those kinds of performance of the aircrafts doing all kinds of different exciting moves. Some of them are for the competition of the speed and also the competition of the time. For that record that we have broken in the past is for the speed. And then there are another group of young children up there in the test of 360 degrees of turns. I'm still hesitating. I don't want to have a try. That is enough because we have already one colleague trying that. Every year, we have this exposition in Changchun City, and it's been so many years that we organize this open event. And now here, the dome is empty now, so we can have a look at that. It looks easier than the previous one. I'd like to have a try with this flighter. Now it's your turn. In order to give you a clear view of it, I will keep this GoPro. And later you can have a closer look at the inside of the simulator by GoPro. And Mr. Chen, taking this moment, while Bingbing is wearing the GoPro, could you please give us more instructions about this equipment? This equipment is to simulate the cabin of the pilot. Once you are inside, it feels like you are in a real cabin for pilots. It's semi-closed. You can only look at the panels of control, and to both sides there's nothing for you to look at. Because it's semi-closed, you will not be influenced by the other events outside. You will be more focused about your flight. Okay, I'm boarding now. Our professional pilot now is inside in the cockpit. And we are the ground workers. So there's only one set of protection for that, also 4 security belts. Also 2 with your feet. So now you are fully equipped with the most advanced equipment. Could you please give us some instructions? Put your hand on that rocking bar. This finger is for attacks. Will the others attack me later? Yes, because it's a simulation of the aerial attacks. When you push it, it's in a dive. When you pull, it's flying up and towards the left. Then the flight would turn to the left. And when you turn it to the right, then the airplane would also follow the instruction to fly towards the right wing. So once the flight gets to the ideal position, you can roll it back to the original place. When the experience starts, you are immediately in the aerial attack. You can use this to control the power. For example, you have to adjust the degree of this part in order to turn around your airplane.
So
Bingbing is ready to take off. So cabin crew ready for the flight. How is taking off? All those are the simulators for the ordinary people, for the visitors. Yes, this is the basic equipment for the scientific promotion activities in the expo. For our real practices with the professional pilots, that would be a completely different version. With this simulator, you can have a try of the basic moves of the pilots. You can now hear the screams of Bing Bing. Come on, Bing Bing. So all the movements come from the instructions of our pilots. Bing Bing, actually it's you. We're turning around all this simulator. And you can have a look at the real-time string in front of Bing Bing with our GoPro. Bing Bing, you have another handle by your left-hand side. A very interesting experience. And the other visitors, they are queuing now to have a try by themselves. This is a beginner's program. For our real selection of the candidates for pilots, it could be much more complicated and difficult. But still, we are very much touched by the enthusiastic participation of our visitors from the city. They are coming in huge numbers to join our expo. And I've heard a lot of stories about the hard physical trainings about the pilots. For example, the students from the Aviation University, they are trained to become the future pilots in the Air Force. And in the university, we have to spend several years before getting them ready for the future real flights. And today, all those pilots who have performed in the sky for us, they have taken exercises for years or even tens of years. And now Bing Bing has survived experience. How do you feel now? I'm frightened to death. So please say something for us. It's so terrifying. I've never tried that again in my life. Let me help with your hair. Please say something for our audience on the platform. When I was in the cockpit, I forgot every word of your instruction. The only thing I can feel is that the simulator is turning. Because you forgot the left-hand side handle. You have two bars, you have to use both of them at the same time. If you only move the right one, then it will keep turning like that. Please don't let me try that again. As a soldier, not only for the pilots but all the soldiers, you have to go through all those physical exercises. And those programs are considered a must for all the soldiers. So it's no easy job for people to become a real soldier. Today we have a very peaceful environment in the country. We have to thank those soldiers for their contribution and for their sacrifices. They have to go through so many physical trainings and exercises so that they can become a qualified guarantee for our country's security. Today I've already tried something new in my life because in the past I could never try a roller coaster. Just now you were sitting inside a turning simulator too. You look still. However, those are still very easy versions of experience. They are the beginner's level. So for a real professional pilot, their degree of difficulty and the daily trainings and exercises are much higher than these ones. And from my experience with this turning simulator, there are a lot of movements and possibilities with the changes of positions of the aircrafts. And every time with a change of the position and with a turning, you can have a direct feeling with your body, and you can feel very uncomfortable inside. So to become a professional and qualified pilot, you have to be really excellent. You have to be very strong in your physical conditions, and also the physical strength is inevitable. And now it is for a comprehensive training. It looks like the gym. What is so special about this exercise zones? We often go to the gym for daily exercises, but for the pilots, they have to go through extra exercises to build up their body, to be stronger in the body. This is the bicycle, right? So with the bicycle, when you exercise on that, you can keep this ventilator running, and then you can even try to use it to generate some power for electricity network. Just kidding. Please try with this. Try to lift it. 1, 2, 3. It's a tile with a weight of 80 kilos. This is to train the physical strength of our pilots. So you can try it together. 3, 2, 1. 80 kg.
80公斤的，你看。这比我们2个人还要沉。发表获奖感言。
What's your feeling about that? With one tile, 80 kilos. So it's supposed to be lifted by one person. And she can even walk ahead. Amazing. The next one. Good job.
这个轮胎啊，80公斤，160斤，然后它战术训练啊，它主要练的应该是属于力量训练。
This is the tactic exercise for your physical strength.
还有平衡力，你看它拿起来没问题的，你们2个人还抬不动，但是它也比你们2个人重。
With this, it's a test to see your explosive force, resistance. and also your ability of body balancing. And the other facilities that you have already tried in the gym. This is also for the weight lift. It looks very easy. How heavy is that? 15 kg. All of the weights, they are too digital. You don't have the single digital weight. So I may suggest that this weight raise me up. So you two can try with one. That could be much easier. Now it works. Finally, we can get one up. And you are so proud of yourselves. For this one, 16 kg, we could ask our coach to give you a show of that. This one, 16 kg. And over there, this one looks easier. Maybe not, because that previous tile looks very light too, but turns out to have 80 kg. About this rope, it's a very common experience with the daily routine exercise with the pilot. We will try to climb with the rope. It looks like the forced landing of our open exercise. You have to put your foot in this direction and then keep the rope in between your legs. And use this foot to get the rope up, and then you try to step on that. That is the first step. And every time you move up a little bit by an inch, you have to roll that rope once again in that method. It's to see whether you can very well coordinate your body parts. Is it the most difficult part in the whole expo area? Yes, one of the most difficult one. I can adjust the direction of the rope for you. Okay, the other foot. With the other foot. Bingbing, you are so slim. You are very flexible and you look very strong on the rope. I was always not very good at the sports. And you can have a try of that. Are you sure that I can do it?
啊，这个还真的啊，这个不沉的，也是啊。其实
冰冰这样的姿势是正确的吗？
它需要呈一个推子，还可以身体再往后扶一点，让这个背部尽量和地面去平行。
So what about the
啊，您给我示意一下。
position? Is it correct?
来，教练给一个示范。
Please give us some instructions. You should do it like that. And try to lower your back.
使这个车子向前行进。
And then you have to step
看着
on the
挺简单的东西
floor,
太多了
very strong, stepping on the floor in order to advance.
简单的东西。
OK， 你再试试这个。
Finally, I have found something easy to try with.
您是给它加重了是吗？
加大了一些阻力。
怎么样？现在还轻松吗？
还行还行，你看我这不也推动了吗？
我看您
So the coach has increased some more resistance with the weight. You can have a try. You're moving faster.
其实推得快的时候，它停下来反而更难。
其实我们刚才看这些东西
When
啊，
you're pushing
就是
faster, it's more difficult for you to slow down and to stop
这
it.
些就是根本就对我们来说是属于太难的一个科目了。但是其实
For us, all those are very challenging and difficult, but for a qualified pilot, those are just routine works. And their routine work can be far more difficult than those beginners' versions. Every day they have to go through that routine so they can maintain a very strong physical strength and build up their body. And what is this?
这个是一个滑雪机，它主要模拟。
This is the skiing machine.
首先抓的这两个相当于是那两个滑雪杖。先调整一下。
So these are the two skiing rods.
手在上面准备，然后往下拉这两绳的时候，你同时。
And then you get ready.
然后连贯起的动作。
When you pull the links down, you can do the squats at the same time.
这个也可以试一下。登上雪板
You can have a try by yourselves.
滑雪啊，实际不叫滑雪，就打出了坡。
对对对，
上去之后
就靠着那个往上
In the
滑
past, when you do the skiing, it's not the correct way of doing the skiing because you're not exercising your body, you're just leaping away. But here you can try the real sense of the skiing because you are using your body weight.
向下的时候，半途。哎，对，同时把这个车子拉。
When you pull then backwards,
好，连贯起来。
you can try to squat at the same time and then you try to coordinate your body parts, the lower body and your arms.
对，我觉
So
得
I can see some potential for
这个
skiers
哎
in
体能
you.
方面整体来说是还挺好的，比我好很多。
My colleague is stronger than me.
滑雪这都是练专项力量。
For the skiing machine and the other facilities, they are equipments to train a certain part of your body.
那么你在做
For example, with the skiing machine, first you have to learn the instructions, and you can tell that it's for your arms and for your lower body, for the core.
在这一点
And for the other facilities, they are aiming at a different part of your body. So with all the diversity in the training projects and training facilities, you can get your whole body trained.
当飞行员
After
难吧
those
首
several
先你要选上飞行员
tries,
就很难，接着
I can already feel that
确实
my
这个
arms,
一般人能做得
they
了
become
一般
heavier
人
than
能
before.
做得了这样的一个压力和这样的一个训练程
As
度。
we
就可能
mentioned
说
before,
比
it's
如说
no
哪怕
easy
是
job to become a
身体
qualified
条件
pilot.
足够了
It's not
啊，
everyone
但
that
是
can
你每天都
respond to the
有一个这种高
requirement
强
to
度的训
become
练
a
当然所有的
pilot.
军人都是
After the
要有
success
一个
in
这样
the
的
selection,
训练
you
才
have
能
to
有一个强健
continue
的
with
体
the
魄。包括
routine
像我们之前跟大家说的
exercise.
嘛，这个
For
女飞行员
example,
可能女性本身
for the
在
female
身体优
pilots,
势上可能不如男性那
they
么
are
明显，但
weaker
是他
than
们
the
的这个训
males
练内容
in
可
the
是一样
body
的。
strength. but they have to complete the same routine exercise. And in the battlefield, no one would treat you differently just because you are a woman. And they are like the strong rows in the mid-air. And here we have another, a wooden aircraft. Feng Ru is the father of China's aviation. This is the model of the first plane made by Feng Ru. Feng Ru is the first designer of aircraft in China, and he is also a pilot. This is the model called the #1 Feng Ru aircraft in order to memorize the creator. Please look at the style of the wings. And this is a very advanced model by that moment of the creation. This is the first airplane in China. By then, the US has kept their secret of manufacturing of aircraft. So Mr. Feng Ru has decided to design the flight of our own country. And today we call him the father of aircraft of the country. He is the leading personnel of our site. After visiting so many facilities and training zones, what is your feeling? First of all, I'm very happy. Really? Especially after that turning circles. You want to have a second try? And no thank you, but you haven't tried that. So please go ahead. I think those simulators, they are very well prepared. When you're turning the rocking bar, it feels like I really have a crew team with me. I have passengers on board, and I'm under huge pressure. So for the pilots, they have to deal with the physical pressure and also the psychological pressure. Once they're in the mid-air, they have to be in charge of the security for all the passengers during the long period of flight, sometimes more than tens of hours. So today, so you can have a try of that, and maybe not. This is the aviation model for the competition of the time. For our audience, if you are interested, you can come to the Expo Stadium. For example, you have the promotion lessons about the scientific knowledge of the aviation. The visitors have not yet come. They are watching the performance right now. Just now, we have almost covered everything inside the stadium, and my colleague has shared her feeling with all of you. For today's simulation, it's still at a different level from the routine exercise of our pilots. Today we have only experienced the beginner's version, only a simple version for the younger generation, for the young children. For those who are interested in this career of a pilot, you could come to this place. This open event will last until tomorrow. You can come to have a try. If you can discover the potential for the pilot for you, you can try to get yourself enrolled in the examinations and selection process of the future pilots. So due to the limit of the time, maybe we have to stop here. I've got a gift from Mr. Chen, our coach. That is an aviation model. So that is the end of our streamline live stream program. If you are interested, please do not hesitate to come tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last day of our open event. Thank you for staying with us. Bye bye.